G'day and welcome into our first long format video. So today I went to the range. I had an epiphany the other night of how to do a stinger. I've been mostly working on basically just hitting my shots well, which I've got to the point where pretty much all my shots have been going nearly how I want them. Shot shape, shot control. So today was to work on the stinger. Now, I started off with some wedge work. My distance wedge for my 58, I've been finding, I just haven't been confident in it. So I did a couple of shots with the range balls, putting in my 58 degree, just over the 100-meter marker for my full shots, and then for just, full pace shots, and then just for my regular full swing shots. Putting around that 85 to 90 meter with just nice high spin and control. Went up to the 50, carried them about 115, 120 meter. I really should put the actual distance is in yards. I think yards wise, 120 is like around 135, I would like to say. I could be wrong. 130, I'm not exactly sure the yards conversion anyway. But yeah, so I started off with a couple of shots of those. I hit them really, really well. I hit the control. They spun and just stopped how I want them to, especially for approach shots to the green. I definitely want them to either spin back or just dead stop. So perfect shots in the sense of like how I wanted to control them. Connection was great. Nothing that I was really, really unhappy with. After that, I went on to the 2-iron. This is the one I want to do the stinger with. Along with the 3-wood, but this is the main culprit. So what I did was I angled the club forward. So basically what that means is rather than the shaft and my left arm being straight aligned, like you would normally do for just a regular shot or a draw or a fade, I lean it back towards my back foot a little bit more and push my hands down. This allows me to push down on the ball and get that whip, as you'll see. I start off with a couple of half and like 3/4 swing shots just to see if it's working to get that motion. Still coming down with a fair bit of acceleration. Here you can see I'm just looking at the ground. The ground was super uneven today, so there was just heaps of holes. This ball was just demolished. It must have gone through a mower. But heaps of holes, heaps of damage in general. So footing was a little bit off. So some of the times that I've topped it in this, other than it just being something new that I was trying and it being completely theoretical, I had this like issue of just getting that foot placement. So my right foot here was on like a bit of a mound. As I started swinging and rotating, obviously as I have to rotate on that front and that back foot, I was digging myself a hole and just started topping it, especially towards the end. Like at the start, there really wasn't many. I had to take a break a couple of times. There was people like hitting on the range, and the courtesy of this course is basically you let them hit through. I was getting a little bit frustrated because some of these guys were just taking for absolute ever. They would stand there, have a conversation. They were telling me to hit through, which I was not happy with. Here I'm just practicing like just regular full shot. But like they were telling me to hit through with my 2-iron, and I was saying to my wife, if I do that, it's basically murder at this point. Because I'm basically just hitting into that range. They're at about the 200 marker. Oh, sorry, 150 and the 200 marker. Even with the range balls that take off on these ones, I found they take off about 15% of my range on all my shots. I would still reach them quite easily. Like the 150 marker on a good 9-iron shot, with decent amount of spin and height, I can reach that 150 marker. But yeah, so we went on to waited for that. Then we are back at it. You can see they're leaving. I didn't even see it. You'll see in a sec. There's a guy's ball that's just like just up near the net here. I didn't see it. I don't even know if he actually saw it, but it was just under that tree there. So I tried to get like at least another couple of shots off because we were on a bit of a time crunch. I didn't want to get in the way of the Saturday compers. I just wanted to get my shots off and just test my theory. So today it was more just about seeing to get it work. I put that one in a divot like an absolute buffoon. Here you can see me trying to get it back out of the divot that was already there. I sort of give up. And all I do on this one is rather than striking down as aggressively, I just adjust that angle for this shot. But Yeah, we'll get to that. I don't know if I put that video next. I'm trying to figure out what order I put these videos in because they are not showing up correct. And there is one that is corrupted, and I think it may be this next shot is the corrupted one. But that's fine. Anyway, we wait here. We pause the video again. And go back. Oh, yeah, so it is the correct one. So here, you can see I did that a lot better. I did account for that divot a lot more. The only issue with moving these balls further at the front of the range is basically that uneven footing, which made it really hard, but the stingers still kept coming. The success rate was quite high. Going back through all the videos, I had a success rate of about 80% with shot shape and control for the stingers. With that 20, so 8 out of every 10. And for saying this is the first day I'm trying it, I was quite happy with that. More of the issues came, as I said, towards the end bit here. Some of the shots just really, I just couldn't get that footing. It was frustrating me, but I still managed to work through it. Every time I had a couple of bad duffs in a row, if I had like 2 in a row, I was going back to a regular shot shape. The reason why I do this is to get my confidence and my feel for hitting that perfect connection back. I've only been back at this for 3 months for golf, and that's a long time. Sorry, a long time ago is when I used to be like a lot better, or I'd say I am better than now I used to be. But like in saying that, I would change back just to get that that confidence. That's something I recommend for you guys. Taking a bit more time in between shots is another key thing. Here, I was just pumping them out, so fatigue was starting to get to me as well. I was losing positioning for the shot shape I was trying to work through, which wasn't great in that sense. But I was doing the best with what time I had and to get through the balls needed. So here I am still working the 2-iron. I then just try to just focus on keeping it nice and low, as you can see there. Have a nice little fade coming around. I get that good run out. They were all carrying with the range ball about anywhere between 220 to 230. Had a couple that were a little bit shorter, but that was more early on when I was reducing that swing speed and trying to aim for control and positioning more than I was trying to aim for distance. And honestly, that's what you do when you're learning a new shot shape. You give up your distance, you give up some of that acceleration just to ensure that you're hitting it correctly. So if this, I went to the 3-wood trying to get that that lower stinger shape. I found it really hard, especially when I accelerate on my 3-wood. I tend to get a little bit more loft. Obviously the same with the driver, but with my driver I can adjust the head down to 4 degrees, which is actually what I did today. I haven't touched my driver in ages. The shaft is a little bit too whippy for my max swing speed on it, but I brought it out today because of some of the training I've been doing behind the scenes has actually allowed me to use it in a way. I'm not going to go too deep into it. I am still getting a stiffer shaft and going up to the 2 or 3x stiff for it. But for now, it's just staying out of my bag. I'm carrying my 3-wood's going about anywhere between 260 to 270 carry, depending on the shot, if it's a bigger shot. Yeah. Or if it's just a regular shot, I'm trying to get down the fairway. It's about 250 to 260 carry, runs out to about 270, 280, depending on how I hit it. So like I'm getting the distance. I have had a couple that have gone over that 300 range at full distance, but I would say the average is around that 275, 280. So that 300 yardish mark for the 3-wood with about a 280 carry. So not too bad. I'm happy with the distances I'm hitting. I'm happy with the control. Now, you'll see here, this is where a lot of my issues came. I started really struggling with the 3-wood stingers. The biggest issue I had was getting that positioning of the ball correct. So with the 2-iron, I was able to sit the ball back a little bit more successfully, more of my middle of my stance. With the woods, I find that I'm a lot more comfortable hitting them closer to that front foot, even for lower shots. So if I'm trying to get it a little bit lower. Here I am just trying to work it out a little bit. I got a fair few decent ones with the 3-wood too. I'm not gonna lie. I had maybe like a 60% or 70% success rate with it, and then I sort of just decided. Eventually, I went back to like just normal shot shaping, because I feel like majority of my stinger shots are gonna come from my 2-iron. 2 and 4 are probably gonna be my 2 main key stinger shots. The driver, I can drop that height really simply by just adjusting the hosel and taking off that 1.5 with the LN. Over there, that was a good shot. I was really happy with that. as I said, I was happy with like the control of the shots in general. Overall, it was the connection's good. I can see where I've got down to my handicap, which is about 3.9 at the moment. When I do my regular shots, but when I'm doing the stingers, I feel like I'm a solid 15 handicap. Not because I'm hitting them bad. It's something new. It's something I'm not used to. I think the biggest thing I should have done is, if you have a look, there is a grass patch probably half a meter behind me that would have been perfect for me to drop back to. Reason why I say this is, if I had dropped back to it, I would have had better connection. I would have had a better standing for my feet. So if you have a look at my back foot, it slips around a lot more and it's really hard to get into it. If I put it on the grass, it will rotate better, but because it was in that dirt, I was trying to stabilize through my knee so I didn't hurt my knee.
That's what it feels like.
Which then slowed my rotation through my hips a little bit at times, making it not catch up, or making the club head catch up and hit some regular shots occasionally. But as I said, that was a lot better, a lot more aggressive too. So I found hitting the stingers, the biggest thing you want to do with stingers is have that club head speed. Now, if you're not quite the person who has a high club head speed, you may find that they are a little bit harder to hit. I found that when I reduced the speed at times, and you'll see it on a couple of the shots, when I was trying to adjust to the ground, that is one of the reasons I actually topped it. Was just that. Here I pull out the 4-iron. Now, 4-iron, I'm really good with just regular shots. I love my 4-iron at the moment. It's probably one of my most used clubs, even off the tee on those short par 4s. On the average day, my 4-iron's carrying about 210 to 220, anywhere between 212 and 220 meters on really good shots, but on just regular shots, it's around that 210 range, 210 to 215. But if I'm really trying for it, I can get up to those 220 range. But I'd prefer just to hit a controlled 2-iron for competition standards. But if I'm playing just a 9-hole round by myself, I definitely do give it some. Reason why I do that is because I'm still getting used to these clubs that I've got. I only got them a couple of weeks ago. This is my 6th time hitting them properly. I went from really a lot whippier shafts where I was just struggling to control that club head. I was ending up like altering my swing speed, pulling up when I didn't need to, and that was launching them into the middle of space. Great thing about that, lands on the green really well. Not great for run out for things like 4 and 5-iron, which with these I've had a lot better control of being able to have that high spin rate and get it to land if I wanted to hit a higher shot. Or if I want to hit it a little bit lower, get a little bit more run, they've been quite effective for that too. And this is the next stage of it, is that stinger. In saying that though, the 4-iron I struggled with. The reason why at this point the ground was just completely messed up. I ended up hitting through them more with the 4-iron. I really struggled with that positioning of it. Not to the point where like I didn't want to hit them, but just it was becoming a bit of an issue. I wish I'd moved back earlier. Here we get to the final couple of balls. So I ended up pulling out a 3-wood. I was like, I'm going to do a couple of 3-wood shots. I was going to do a draw, a fade. Hold on. Yeah, a fade and a draw. So the fade went really well. And then I decided, rather than doing a draw, because my draws have been good, so have my fades, I'm just going to do a stinger and try and pull a draw off with that. And I sort of chunked it like an idiot. It got under it too much, and I sort of didn't hit it how I wanted to. I got the draw path, which was fine. But what I really wanted was, I want that low stinger for it. So as you'll see, I come back for it again. And I don't hit this one great.
Good one.
That's the thing. It's like trying to get that control. I have a natural fade for my shot shape. So like a lot of people, they will hit a certain way where it naturally fades or naturally draws a little bit. Even when they're hitting it dead straight, it's just how your club head comes through. If you're coming across the body more, so more towards that knee, you will hit a fade a bit. If you're aiming out away from the body, so that in and out motion, that's how you get that small draw. I started hitting more small draws. It's just not my natural shot shape. I prefer the fade. I have better control of it, so I stick with it.
Okay.
Here, I hit off with 2-iron just to finish off. The other thing is if you're used to hitting, if you got a high swing rate, high compression rate, you'll find that range balls can feel a little bit off on that connection through. Not to the point, it doesn't mean you'll top it or anything. It just means that your connection is not going to be as good. You're not going to feel the power through it. You're going to feel a little bit off. I was getting really fatigued at this point because I basically worked through about 50 balls in about 20 minutes or less. I loved that shot. That shot was actually really good. And the next shot, though, was... I'm not going to say, yeah, it was terrible. I could have finished off on a bad shot, but I did have a trash ball, as I call it. I have a trash ball for when, like, I'm at the range or I'm at a course and I'm just wanting to try something. So, like, if I'm doing a day where I'm playing 9 or 18 and I'm not keeping score, or if I'm keeping score but I'm not actually submitting the card, I'm just trying to test something. I always take one of my own personal range balls that I use on the range near my house, because we have to go pick them up ourselves. I take one of those just to be able to hit and lose. If I find it, great. If not, there's not that care. Here, I ended up just pulling it out because I was a little bit upset with that last shot. I knew what was wrong, and I knew what I wanted to do. But also at this point, I was standing on super uneven ground. I dropped the ball back a little bit to see if I could get on the better ground. It's a little bit more comfortable, but other than that, it was a great day. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I will be doing more, and I'll do some breakdowns of my game soon. Nice shot to finish it off.